Hi, everybody. This is Sweta Ragmi live from Canada. It is 11:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please drop the comments for me where you are watching from today, what part of the city in Canada. If you're in Canada, if it's international audience, I would definitely want to know where you guys are watching me from. That helps me understand. And if you're watching me on a replay, type in replay as well. Today, I am going to talk about that one thing that people try to miss it when that particular questions are asked in a hidden way, which is, what are your strengths? Or that could be hidden in different questions. So we're going to go through that today. I'm going to give you some samples and what I love hearing when I am hiring as a hiring manager. So I'm going to pass that on to you and my strategies when I became a job seeker. How did I modify my style as well to go and get the job I want? But it was all different strategies. So now, let me tell you something about how do you answer these kind of questions where you humble brag about yourself. And you know what? There's a thin line between being confident and being very overconfident to the point that you might look like, oh, I don't think that person is the right fit. So you're going to be very, very careful when you're answering those questions. Hey, tell me about your strength. Or there could be other questions such as, and you can talk about that. So where if I were to call your manager right now, or if I were to call your colleagues right now or a team member, what would they say about you? That's your strength question as well, right? And the other question is, when was the last time your manager came in and patted you on a shoulder? That could be strength question as well. Now, here are things that people go wrong. Now, I'm going to dissect it into the different kind of people, okay? I work with a lot of newcomers in Canada. If you're newcomers in Canada, type in 1 for me so I know that you guys are watching me. And there are a couple of people who are going to go wrong in this particular questions. They're really, really humble. So this is the time you got to brag all about it. Brag it, take it. And this is where they want to hear from you. Why are you so good? Why am I going to hire you? Things like that matter. So don't sit down, take credit for everything you could, but in a very humble way. And we're going to talk about it today. Hang in there. Let me see who else is watching. How many people are watching me? Drop in comments and I might bring some of you guys on the screen as well. I am streaming live at YouTube as well. And there is the subscribe button. And if you want to hear from me more and more on YouTube, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I deliver resume tips there, interview tips, and career tips for you all around the world. You can watch it as well, and you can subscribe if you want to be the first one to get the notifications, all right? There is the scroller going on. Just go ahead and subscribe for me. There's one. Dr. Usman, you are a newcomer to Canada? All right, so am I sounding all right, guys? Am I really, the last time when I was streaming this, the quality was good, but the video was horrible. Can you type in 2 for me in there to let me know that everything looks good? The sound quality is good. And also, can you type in 2 for me in there and tell me that video is fine as well? The streaming is fine. People are working from home right now. My kids are going right now in school and they're working from home. So I'm really concerned about it. Type in 2. It's delayed. I want to see. Okay. Mutana said type in 2. So we're good. Shailesh Shinde. Okay. Type in 2. Perfect. So it looks like, hey, Muga. So 2. Perfect. So we're good to go. We're good to go. We're good to go. All right, I want you to keep on talking to me in comment sections, okay? Now, are you a job seeker? If you're a job seeker right now, type in 3. Type in 3 for me. If you're a job seeker, type in 3 for me. That helps me understand. Niran Basnet is watching me from YouTube. Thank you, Niran. So it looks like it's streaming good. The quality of the video is good. Perfect, because last time was horrible, guys. Okay, perfect. Great. How many of you are watching me on LinkedIn? Give me a number. Should I wait until the audience is going to spike up? Should I go? People can watch me on a replay as well later on. I'm just going to go and see. Everything looks normal. And we're good to go. Wow, there's like over 100 and like 15 people watching. Fantastic. This is Friday. I was not even thinking that these many people will show up. It's Friday, and I thought, lockdown is help. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, I'm bringing some here. I'm looking at the comments. I'm not ignoring. I just wanted to make sure everything is good to go. 3. A lot of people are saying 3. Great. A lot of people. Yes, you're on the right platform today. Are you going through the interview process right now? Type info. Number 4, and tell me something. Drop down the comments and tell me. When someone is asking you for, hey, what are your strengths? What do you say? Give me two words that you would describe without telling me anything. Type in 2 words in there. Who are you? What's your strength? Let's do some exercise. Type in the word. Who are you? What's your strength? Bello is just joining. Perfect. All right. So type in 2 words for me. Who are you? Who are you? Type in who are you? What's your strength? And I'm going to move on to how to answer that. And I'm going to bring you my example. How did I apply when I was a job seeker? For a lot of you who do not know me, who I am, maybe there are a lot of people who followed me recently as well. So thank you for following and then coming over here to support. So I used to be hiring manager in a corporate world in Canada for a Fortune 500 bank, and where I worked in one particular bank for 12 years. And after that, I got laid off. Now I became a job seeker. It was very hard for me to bounce back because there was a hiring gap going on. So I had to re-strategize everything as a job seeker. Now I was on the other end. So I applied all these bunch of strategies, put the framework together. I got multiple offers later on, and I got back to the Fortune 500 again in the leadership role. Then I said, screw this. I'm going to resign. I'm going to go and consult through Teach and Do. And that's what I've been doing. And I've been helping a lot of job seekers like you, especially newcomers in Canada and folks who are laid off. And why I do that is because I have walked on your shoes forever as a newcomer. I was an immigrant 21 years ago. For those of you who do not know me, look at my post from yesterday. I did that survival job. I put the picture, really, really authentic picture for you so you can compare yourself. And then I became a founder and CEO at Teach and Do. Title means nothing, but I love to be known as career consultant. I teach people do's and don'ts of all about job search. All right. So that's it about me. Perfect. So Thania Johnson says, adapt easily and dedicated. Perfect. Sandeep says, team leader, that's your strength. Muthana says, hard worker, leader, self-motivated. Good. All right. I'm hearing good things. Keep going. Lorna said, self-motivated. Perfect. All right. These are all, I love it. Engagive, adaptive. Vidant, I know you. All right. So I don't know who you are, but here, LinkedIn user, nice story. All right. Okay, I'm going to jump right into it. Lot of things. I love seeing those comments. Keep on typing. Who are you? What's your strength? Hard worker, it comes a lot. Self-motivated, it comes a lot. I haven't seen result-oriented. Who can tell me who is result-oriented? Type it in there. Result-oriented? Yes. Result-oriented, type in. Who do you like? If you think you're result-oriented, type in there. Leadership. Pankaj says leadership. Team leader, friendly. All right, great stuff. All right. Okay, I have to tell you something, okay? So as a hiring manager, I've heard it all. These are the acronyms you throw it down on a pipeline. Hey, tell me about your strength. And then I've been noticing this pattern, like, the same thing over and over. Everyone is using those words. And I've recently noticed I've started, I do interview coaching as well, right? And then I work with a lot of job seekers, newcomers as well. There is a clear difference here, how newcomers to Canada answer, or immigrant like us who immigrated answer these questions versus who are professional, who are homegrown in the country, like they answer it. Even they miss that step as well. So I'm going to go with the step, what works well. And I have applied those. And you know what? I've had multiple interviews And I've gotten hired as well at the same time. I think if anything, if I were to say what are my strengths, I think interview is my strength, because I knew that, you know what, I know that I can bring in right examples. So I'm speaking from experience here as a job seeker as well. I've applied this as well. Okay. So now whenever I used to get these questions about, so now, first of all, what happens is, the strategy they're putting you through. When someone's asking, what are your strengths? I normally only gave one strength, not like I'm a hardworking person, I'm a punctual person, I'm result oriented, I'm a servant leader. Those are the fluffy thing. I never said it. You know why? Because everyone says the same thing, okay? So I only picked one, and this is what I did. I looked at the job descriptions. Now, keep in mind, I applied for a different kind of role. So although I stayed in that platform as I wanted to be manager, the title, but I had to really niche it down, meaning like, you know, what industry I'm going to work in. Is it contact center? Because I came from the call center background, contact center, where I was managing a lot of teams. I managed a deposit team, I managed the mortgage team, I managed the quality and coaching team, right? So I had an opportunity to apply for multiple different platforms. So it was a banking industry I came from, right? So now I had to, let's say that if I'm applying for a contact center, if I apply for contact center, my example would be completely different versus if I'm applying to go back to the bank, my strength could be completely different. And you know why? Because it all depends on the job descriptions. It has to be relevant. And what people tend to do is if you come up with one or two strengths, you keep on applying the same strength, like, you know, everywhere, that probably strategy might not work. And here's why I tell you, okay? So if someone were to ask me, what are your strengths? So I would say something like, you know what? I've been known for solving the problem. This is what I would say, okay? Problem solver. But that's so cliche. Everyone says it, right? Instead of saying that and just stopping there, that's where people stop. People stop. I'm a problem solver. I'm a result-oriented person. I'm a hard worker. And then they keep on bragging, and you're done. Now, I want you to try this strategy. Even though as an employer, they don't ask you, give me examples, you should be always tying that up with the example, what you've done in the past, how you can help them in future using the same strategy. You don't stop by just saying, listing out like, you know, multiple things, which makes no sense. Provide the evidence. And here's how. So I have been known as a problem solver, and I'll tell you how I've utilized that in my past role. So I'll give you one specific example that it is highlight of my career where I've identified my strength, and people have told me about it as well. So here's what happened. So there was one time that my team kept on giving me, kept on asking for OT hours, overtime hours. So I was the one to approve it. It was a contact center. I was the one to approve it. They were supposed to copy me on email whenever they stayed late to clear the queue. So what happened was I started noticing, how come there are like so many OT hours now from my team? And I decided, okay, I'm going to go and see it. What seems to be a problem? Because the calls were always, there was a wait time. They were waiting forever. But now what happened was there's a call spike all of a sudden. So here's what I did. Now I gave them a situation, start technique, right? CAR technique, which is CAR, contest. I'm giving them a contest of what happened. Now here's what I did. I'm leading them to the action now. Now the action is, here's what I did. I, as a manager, I was closing one day in the contact center, manager on duty. And what happened was I looked at the queue. Why is it spiking up? And it was such a weird situation. So right after 8 o'clock, we're supposed to be closed at 10. Right after 8 o'clock, I see like the call spiking up like crazy. So I started to clear the queue. I jumped in, I started to clear the queue and started to understand what kind of calls are coming. So I realized there was a feature that was turned on by the telecommunications team that we were not aware of it. So what happened was all those people who are waiting online, they were given this feature of, hey, there's a wait time of like more than 10 minutes. Do you want us to call you back? And system was calling them back constantly all the time to the client. And what happened was, if clients were not picking up the phone, then system kept on calling them back. So that spiked the call so high. Plus, I also found out that the time zone was not clear. So we were Ontario, but Ontario people were getting a call back around 10 o'clock in night as well. And there was something screwed up, in the back end. So I noticed it. Here's what I did then. I started to collect the data. I started to collect the caller ID and everything, time and everything, province and everything, put it all together, report all together, and then found the root cause of why my team is working OT hours, why the calls are spiking up in the contact center in the particular department that it shouldn't have. I built that report and sent it to the executive team, to my manager. I requested the meeting. I provided the solution. Hey, let's do this. What I did was I said, let's not give callback option to the client after 8. So the call doesn't spike up. Also, let's just try one callback option. That's it. If they don't pick up, let it go. And we did it. And the abandoned call was reduced significantly. Client satisfaction went up as well. And the OT hour budget was reduced as well. What was the result? I just gave them a result. I gave them the action, right? Using the CAR model. So this is how you're going to go and apply the technique in an interview, not by just hanging in there saying that I am a problem solver. You know what? Provide the evidence. So now this could change for me if I'm applying not for the contact center. So my strength, this would completely change now if I'm applying for something else. Now, what I also did was, I don't know if you guys saw my, how do you turn the interview into the conversation piece last time. Now, here's also what I would do on the same model. What I would use, I'm going to turn that into conversation now. What I'm going to tell them is, you know what? I've done that a lot, watching the queue and monitoring. I'm very good at it. May I ask, what kind of system do you use? Right? So what I've done now is I'm going right back to them, and then I am letting them answer the question. So maybe there's a tool they use that, you know what? I am aware of it. And I can say, well, I've used that tool. I'm very familiar of it. So I am actually making that, but then I need to know that what kind of tools they've used, and it helps them. Right, by bringing me that I'm a subject matter expert on handling the queue, and I can decrease those handling time as well for associate, but I should have done the information interview. So when I went in for the contact center interview, I always found out what kind of tools they use so I can strategically plant all those things. And I'm also asking the question to let them know, hey, I'm here because I've used that tool as well. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to move on to the different example using the same CAR model, applying to this different industry. If you have any questions, let me know here. How do you guys feel? So what are your strengths? I am looking at some comments here. All right. Now, the same thing. So a lot of people, what they do is I am going to say the same strength now to the other people. But guess what? If your role is not managing the queue and you're not applying for the contact center, this might not matter into the role that you're trying to apply for. So you got to go back to the job descriptions and see if that strength fits in there. There's no point of giving them those because they don't understand. They would not understand. The people you're talking to, they have to relate and connect the dot. And so let's say for banking. So for example, if I were to talk about, if I want to go to the branch banking, because I worked in bank and I wanted to go for branch banking, let's say that I want to go now, okay? So what I can say is my strength is identifying the process improvement, and where people give up, I start digging down, applying the techniques that I've always applied, finding the root cause of it. And in my belief that everyone talks about the problem, and I feel like if you just talk about the problem, that's called whining. But I believe in providing the solutions with the evidence. Here's what I've done in my past role. So for example, in branch banking, I had some issues with the check. So client came into the branch, and I felt like client's account was going to be taken over by fraudster because they were trying to deposit the post-dated check into the system, which is, by using the mobile deposit. So someone else tried to deposit the check on a mobile deposit. But when I literally investigated it, after, here's what I did. So the contest here, I'm going to break it down for you. Contest here is there was a problem in the branch that we've identified. There was a lot of fraud happening. People were coming to us and the checks were being cashed. And that actually was cashed by someone else. So clients started panicking. So we looked at it. How is that even possible? How people are depositing the money? So what happened is, here's what I did. I investigated how are the checks not being rejected if they're just, cashing out left and right. So I saw there's a fraudster was using the post-dated check. So that way there was no other avenues for bank to detect that check. So here's what I did. Because I came from the different banking world, I knew how the system should work. And this bank were using the different mobile banking. So what I did was I just went out to their committee. There was a committee in there. So I sparked my idea. I said, there's a problem. These are the evidence. These are the numbers that we have had in the branch. There's been 5 incidents that happen regularly. And I've identified the big problem, which is why are we allowing clients to cash in the post-dated check on the mobile deposit? So I said, here's my recommendation. Put the blurb on it. Say that post-dated checks are not allowed to be deposited. We don't deposit, and also reject it on the spot. So the fraud would be minimized, right? And the result of that later on was the bank implemented that policy later on. Right? So I gave them, now what I did was the strength for me was a process improvement. See how I connected the dot from process improvement from previous world, contact center, same thing, different example, related with the call center. And the second one was different example, same thing, process improvement, right? My strength is identifying the problem and solving it, but I brought in the different example. So if I was to go and then to the nonprofit and say, well, why do you want to be coach? Why do you want to be career coach? And I would bring in completely different example that's connected with teach and do. So hopefully that makes sense, because a lot of people where they go wrong is they keep on bringing the same example over and over. And the other thing is when you come with this laundry list of strength, I'm a hard worker, I'm punctual, I'm this, you're already done. You're already done. And if the question, like the other set of question comes in, tell me about, the situations when you really utilize your strength, or tell me the situations that where your manager actually gave you a pat on the shoulder, then what are you going to talk about it? Because you've listed all those strengths in advance. So keep some example on a side pocket. So that way you can literally peel it from the hat itself. So you don't want to go and run the laundry list on the spot, right? But you got to make sure you have a couple of examples of your strength. I recommend at least more than 3 to put it on your hat and pull it out whenever they're asking similar question. And that's going to happen. If you're going to, I don't know if you've interviewed with the Fortune companies, there are panel interviews, guys, right? So one is the recruiter, the other one is HR manager, the other one is senior manager, the other one is panel interviews. Guess what? That question potentially would come in on all the round, but how you answer matters, because those answers would be sent to the management. If you already answer those questions with the same similar example, you're not going to pass in the second round, because they want to hear more, because they already know you've answered that question. They already know you use an example. Always have more than one example to support it, but you got to practice it. I'm going to go back to newcomers where they lack, because I work with a lot of newcomers, and I want you to understand where you lack and where the management and hiring manager could, even if you don't say you're a newcomer, they would sense it. I will tell you how do you avoid that situation in a minute. Let me just see if I have something here. How would you answer to the self-improvement questions? You know what? That's a weakness questions. I have it on the YouTube video. You can go ahead and subscribe it and then watch it as well. There is a weakness video as well in there, okay? So I'm going to see here. How's the video coming in? Is it fine? It's not broken, is it? Just checking. All right, so with the newcomer, I'm going to stick for a couple of minutes and I'm going to leave. If you have any questions, you can send me in a DM. Also, by the way, before I move on to the stage, I wanted to let you know that if you are struggling with the interview, if you're not getting hired, you've gotten multiple interviews and you're not getting hired, there's something in interview that it's standing out and there's a reason you're not getting hired. Don't discount it. Get some help. We have a YouTube channel. You can actually go and see how you can explore those, or you can work with the coaches like me where I can help you as well. But then again, I think where a lot of people go wrong is if you've never been good in an interview, just by taking one sessions, you're not going to be like, from here to here, rooftop, right? It takes years of practice. So if you're feeling like I've never done the interviews, and then if you feel like, you know what, I've never done interviews, but by hiring an interview coach, I'm going to be really good at it. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to lie, because you know what, if you've never done the interviews and if you've never even practiced it, coach is not going to fix, consultant's not going to fix the problem in one session. So you do the one session, you go back and practice a lot, record yourself and practice it with the same framework. More you do it, more better, because it's not going to be fixed if that's the problem you've always had. You got to keep on practicing. Let's go back to the newcomer, especially. All right. I work with a lot of newcomers, and whenever I'm talking about strength, hey, what are your strengths? When I'm working with them closely in coaching, I think a lot of them, also as a hiring manager too, I've hired a lot of newcomers in a corporate world, and I think where they lack is where they fail is not trying to get that brownie point, the credit. Humble bragging is a must, because they feel like, oh, I don't know, because we're not trained to toot our own horn and then, go out there and say, hey, I'm really good. We're not trained. But in Canada, we are really, really performance driven. So you can't just fluff it out and say, well, I'm a result oriented, I'm a hardworking. Guess what? You know what? You're expected to be result oriented. You're expected to be working hard. No one's going to hire slacker, right? So I think the mentality mindset needs to be shifted up. First of all, you got to take a credit for what you did. You got to go back to the accomplishment and tie it up with the job description. So I think a lot of people where they go wrong, especially the newcomer, recently landed immigrant, throughout, now I can say that because I've seen it all. What's your strength? They start with, the degrees. They start with degrees. I have MBA, I have PMP, I have the certificates. I have they list out all the credential. And you know what? I don't blame them, because that's how they're taught back home. It's all about degree. It's all about PhD. It's all about being that MBA grad. But guess what? In Canada, it's not only about that. Yes, some of the requirement on the job requires you to have a PMP, but you can't just say my strength is I just did the PMP. No, what did you do with that PMP matters. Okay, so you're gonna talk about the strength. What did you do with that degree? Yes, you did MBA, but what did you do with that degree matters. When it comes to strength, it's not about I had this certification, this degree, I did PhD last year or a couple of years back, but what did you do with the PhD matters when it comes to talking about that, what's your strength. So we are very performance driven here, especially if you want to work with the Fortune 500. I've worked in there. It's very, very tight there. They're good. And there's a reason they're good, because they hold people accountable based on the numbers. There's a performance matrix, guys. As a hiring manager, I had to manage people like crazy. There was a matrix I was supposed to follow. And if I don't, my manager is going to be on my head saying that, why didn't you follow this matrix? There's a sales matrix. There's absenteeism matrix. There's a late matrix. There's so many matrix that you got to be on top of it. Don't get me wrong. If you want to get into those Fortune company, you better know how do you tie up your previous performance with the number, the data, so they understand, and you go from there. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me see. If you have any question, type it in there. Let me see here. I'm going to see if I missed anything. Anyone landing in Canada soon? If you're landing in Canada soon, there's a free resources online. You can download it. There's a handbook, and you can also go and look at our blogs as well. I'm going to put it in there later on. There's a free blogs as well for newcomers as well. Newcomers to Canada. There's full handbook. I did this this presentation with the nonprofit. There's stuff that you can download and watch it as well. If you're landing, it's free. Okay, I'm just seeing it. here. All right, so I think that wraps up. Again, so going back to recap, whatever I'm talking about today is when it comes to the strength itself, please make sure you take credit for everything. Even like, for example, if you impacted the client satisfactions, you impacted the score of those CSAT score in the contact center. If your company got any kind of award, if your company is one of the employers of choice and you happen to be there and you deliver some of the results, and because of that, the company potentially got the award, right? We are a team at the end of the day, even though it's not your individual contribution directly, but you are part of that team. That's why the company got the award. Take it, but then bring the example of it. How did you get that, the higher score? And once you got that higher score, that led for a company to get that employers of the choice and stuff like that. You got to plant that seed, take that credit. And sometimes what happens working on the entry level, you might think that I didn't make any impact to the company. I just went in, did the job, and I was done with it. That's what you might think. But you know what? How you talk in an interview, how you sell yourself in an interview matter, because nothing matters. If your resume is really good, they're calling you because they really like you on a paper. If they don't feel like you're confident enough to do the job, and if they don't feel like you're trusted well enough within your team, and that comes out. And I'll be honest with you, as a hiring manager, even as a coach right now, consultant, when I'm training people on interview, I can pick on it in 2 seconds if you practice it or not. I can pick on it 2 seconds if you're lying or not. I can pick on it if you are making that up. I can pick on it. You know what I used to do as a hiring manager when someone used to give me the BS answer, make it up. I said like, I'm not clear. Do you have a second example for me? If you didn't have a second example, then what are you going to do about it, right? Because I really wanted to connect well, and you would get the second answer. If I'm not clear on the first answer, I would give you that opportunity of, can you clarify that more? Because these fortune companies, they have a matrix. They will tally the score sometimes. They have to come together and see, how did you answer that question? What about the other person who answered that question? Everything is documented. And some companies have a scoring system at the bottom, which is the other person gets 10 and the other person gets 8 based on the strength questions you've just answered. Who is it going to be? You're going to go on to the list of maybe, and the other person's going to move on to the second round. So no matter what you do not wing the interview, because this is the most important part. It doesn't have to be face-to-face. It starts from phone screening. A lot of people, what they think is, I'm going to be good at it when I'm going to go on face-to-face. Guess what? First impression matters. Phone screening matters the most. If you're not even passing the phone screening, don't discount it. Don't think that, oh, that was just a phone screening. You are going to be invited based on the phone screening, how well you do it. That's the most important interview that you are ever going to have. And if you miss that shot, you're not going to get the face-to-face interview at all. Get that. And there's no face-to-face. Now there's a virtual, right? It's going to show on a virtual interview as well. So take it seriously. Don't wing it. Practice a lot, and I know you're going to be perfect someday. If it's not today, someday. But bring the fact. Stop fluffiness. I am a hardworking person. I'm a result-oriented person. Stop using that. And if you use it, please provide the evidence with an example. I'll leave it as that. And I am accepting the application for one size does not fit all, where me and you will work together and one-to-one customized session. There it is, the course name right there. One size does not fit all. I am accepting the application for this month. And if you qualify, you can go and book an appointment, teachingdo.com under appointment. Me and you talk and see if you're the right fit. And I can walk you from not having confidence to having amazing confidence in landing the offers in Canada, or if you're laid off as well, if you're losing that touch, please connect with me and we can go from there. Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and follow Teach and Do company page as well. Bye.